Well, I'm right in the middle of my least favorite job, which is air filter service. I figured it'd be worth making a video uh, in case anyone ever cared about the best way to do this. A lot of bikes, I don't know about Yamahas and Hondas and Suzukis and whatnot, but the Kawasaki, you can usually, it's like 5 bolts. You got the 2 seat bolts up on top, you got the top subframe bolt, and you got the 2 lower subframe bolts. And you can just tip this whole thing back, airbox and all, dirty filter, rock it back and rest it on that rear tire. And the idea here is to kind of get that air filter so it's inclined away from the boot. Because every time, invariably, when you're taking this dirty filter off, you want to make sure the dirt falls away from that opening. As it's really hard to get the dirt out of there once it gets in there. And you can spend an hour, I don't know, hour and a half, depending on how bad it is. Seems like it's impossible to get clean. So I try to avoid that whole process. Any dirt that falls off when it's in this orientation goes straight down to the bottom of the box, and you don't have to worry about it. This is basically '03 and later KX 125 250. The 99 through '02, they put the CDI in the airbox, so I don't know how practical it is. You'd have to deal with harness and all that crap. So you might not come out ahead messing with it, but the 94 through '98 K series, like this one, I'm pretty sure it's the same type of routine. He's got subframe bolts, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, seat bolts, so 1 extra bolt on this one. But I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do the same maneuver and just get this thing set up. I mean, it's the best way to do it. And if everything's working, you probably can't see that in the video. I should have turned the flashlight on. But if you're doing a good job, you shouldn't have anything but a nice coat of oil in there. Nice and shiny, nice and smooth. Stick a finger in there and get nothing but goodness. You get any specks of dirt in there, that's how you know you're sucking. You're not doing the job right. And there's a lot of ways you can screw this job up. Either the dirt falls in when you're cleaning, or you're cleaning carelessly. You're not getting these filters washed out enough. It seems like no matter what you do, you can wash them all day. There's always still going to be a little bit of something or other, a little bit of dirt, a little bit of crap left in the filters. So the next thing you got to do, make sure you oil the inside and the outside, especially this little inner element right here. That's the last line of defense. So nice good coat of oil inside and outside on both filters. I kind of like the spray-on stuff myself. I use the Maxima. I used to use PJ1, but the Maxima seems to go a little further. More bang for your buck. Goes a little longer between, those 2 cans probably do at least 2 or 3 air filter services between them. So the Maxima's better value, and it works great. You just have to coat them thoroughly enough. You got to almost saturate them so it's just about dripping out. If you under oil these things, it's not going to work very well for very long. It'll work for a ride or two, but eventually what's going to happen is you're going to run out of oil, you're going to get a dry spot in the filter, and it's going to start sucking dirt right through. So, I don't like doing this any more than I have to. This has probably been, maybe 2 months, and I ride at least once a week. So I got 8 rides, and I usually go through about 2 gallons of gas per ride. So you do your math, but it's been a while. The outer filter was pretty well caked. The inner filter was actually filthy, which is unusual. The way I like to see it, I like to have enough oil in the outer filter where the outer filter here is completely caked solid, just clogged up. You can't even see the pores in the foam. I like to see the inner filter almost immaculate. There's always going to be a few spots. The airflow through these isn't homogeneous. It's not, just perfectly distributed throughout the foam filter media. There's always spots, like on these KXs, it seems to be on this bottom, kind of near where this angle is. There's always it's like trying to shortcut through the one part of the filter. And that'll clog up first, and then it'll kind of divert airflow through the rest of the filter. But when the rest of the filter gets dirty, it's going to start to suck through this dirty spot again, and it'll deplete the foam filter oil right there. So there's usually a little bit of, despite my best efforts, there's usually a little bit of dirt on the center filter. I guess I went a little too far on these services. This last one, this inner filter was clogged. This filter had to weigh 2 pounds, and I got it out. It was just loaded. But that's the way I like to do it, because the air filter, caught all the dirt. It was holding all the dirt. There was nothing in the intake tract, which is, as usual. I don't think I've ever had, it's been a long time anyway since I had any dirt get down in there. But you don't want to clean it too frequently, because every time you open this up and mess with it, it's an opportunity for dirt to fall in there. So yeah, I guess a lot of people clean them after every ride. You just don't need to do that, especially if you do this right and get those filters really loaded up with oil. Clean it once every, and I live out here, and you can see, look at this bike, the amount of dust that collects on every single thing. It's about as dry and dirty, and we got sandy, powdery dirt. We got big beach sand type of stuff. We got this fine dirt that just permeates everything. That's where we're riding. So this is about as bad as it gets. If you're anywhere else in the country, you should be better off, especially maybe somewhere where it might rain once in a while. It's been 4 months since we had any measurable precipitation. So the dirt doesn't stay on the ground, it gets everywhere. So, I mean, this is a worst case. If I can go, hell, this might be 20 hours on an air filter service. It's entirely possible. I don't know. I mean, we don't have an hour meter, but it's been a long time. I can't really remember the last time I cleaned it. Yeah, this thing weighed like 2 pounds, like I said. So if you do it right, you don't have to clean it too often, which is good. You want to make it a rare occasion, and when you do it, you want to do it right. And if you do your job well, it's just nothing but spotless, nice and shiny, no grit. That's what you want to see. So if everything's working, that's how you know. If you're doing a good job, you'll be able to tell when you open this up. If you ever find dirt down inside of that intake boot, you're gonna have to do something different, because that's the number one way to kill a top end, bottom end, main bearings. And these bikes will eat a remarkable amount of dirt. I got one here, one of my customers. I didn't even really bother trying to clean it up when I just had his carb out and I had the subframe off just like this, and there's nothing but dirt, solid coated dirt inside of that air boot. And I could spend all day and probably still not get all of it. And that thing runs good. The motor's still tight. I had no idea how many hours were on it, but he goes through top ends a little more quickly. The bottom end's going to get toasted eventually, but the most important thing is if you run enough of a high quality premix. I'm not trying to sell Maxima stuff here, but I've had great results with that Super M. 32-1, maybe a little bit richer. I don't really measure precisely, but it works good. If you got a sufficient amount of premix, a little bit of dirt seems to be okay. What really kills them is marginal lubrication, regardless of dirt or not. So your best bet, though, good premix and enough of it, and you do your best with the air filter. A small amount. You're never going to get this thing perfectly sealed up. But as long as you do your due diligence and make sure you get all the little specks, like the little specks that like to fall inside of your carb. Before I put this together, I'm going to go through it. I've been known to steal Q-tips from the wife's medicine cabinet and detail those carb passages. If you get a little speck down inside of there where the air screw goes through, you got that little port down there about 6 o'clock on the carb. If you got a piece of dirt in there, you just got to get it out, and you got to clean this. I'll be cleaning up the top rim of this right here. Usually accumulates a little bit of dirt. You got to make sure you get that cleaned up before you put it together. You want to do a little detail job on your carb boot as well. That'll always accumulate a little bit of dirt where it's exposed. Anything around that opening is liable to fall into the carb. So you want to make sure that's pretty much clean. Just give it a little wipe down around the perimeter. I always wipe away from the boot because that'll keep it. Anything that falls off my thumb is going to come outside rather than going inside. Yeah, it's the little touches. It's the little details that'll really help you in the long run. I don't like rebuilding motors. I don't like spending money. So you do what you can, and for best results, I recommend it. And like I said, I don't know how many other bikes you can do this on. Kawasaki makes it pretty easy. You just got the one bolt up top right here. You got the two, you got one there, you got one there, and then you got your two seat bolts back here. Piece of cake. This whole thing, maybe 2 or 3 minutes to unzip that whole subframe, and then you're in the service mode. So that's probably the best way to do it that I have found.